Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Live Ones. I am Big Matt, your capper extraordinaire, and the first day of college football certainly did not disappoint. In the marquee game in Ireland, Georgia Tech showed the fans in Dublin what old school, hard nosed American football was all about. They absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage, ran the ball down Florida State's throats for 60 minutes straight. 190 rushing yards just made their defense look utterly wasted, and they pulled off the stunner. They were 10.5 point underdogs. They actually won the game outright on a walk-off field goal. Mike Norvell officially now has just a lot of work to do with all these new transfers. I had just about a perfect read on this game in terms of the fact that they weren't going to gel together right away. Their offense just wasn't very Mike Norvell. It looked positively pedestrian. Their passes, when they could even get them off, were just little dink and dunks for 5 yards. No big explosive downfield plays at all. Ordinarily, when you get a bad loss like this in week one, and you're a team that's in the national championship picture, in the hunt for the playoffs at least, your season would be over. But with the new 12-team playoff format, it's not like it normally would be. But they have to run the tables in the ACC at this point. They're likely now going to need to beat Clemson twice to secure their spot as ACC champions and get an automatic bid. I certainly wouldn't count on them getting one of the at-larges with this loss on their resume. So yeah, it's just 5 more days until the season kicks off in full. Man, that week one is stacked, as it always is. The NCAA does it right, takes advantage of their 1 week without the NFL to take eyes off of it, spreads it out over 5 days. A lot of Power Four teams doing their marquee out of conference game that week. You got Clemson versus Georgia, of course, that's the main event. But you got Penn State versus West Virginia, Miami versus Florida, Notre Dame versus Texas A&M, and LSU versus USC. It's going to be a blast. We went 2-3 yesterday. That beat on that Florida State first half under was just brutal. Florida State went for a pointless 2 point conversion on their first touchdown to open the game. Absolutely no reason to do that other than showing off, and that was a difference maker. We lost the under by half a point, and with that, we lost our winning day. It happens. It's all part of betting. We're still positive on the week. We're going to close it out right. We got a full early Sunday slate of baseball to go over. Let's get to it. Two plays today, and the first one we're going to start off with is the early game and the Nats and the Braves at 12:05. The first two games of this series have been absolute nail biters that have gone right down to the end. The Nats are rebuilding, but they're trending in the right direction with all the young pieces they got for the Juan Soto trade. The finale today, it sees two solid pitchers in DJ Hers and Ronaldo Lopez. Hers is a long reliever they've converted to starter with a lot of success. He's a strikeout machine who pounds the zone. He's good for 5 or 6 innings reliably, typically doesn't give up more than 2 runs doing it. Lopez has a 2.05 ERA on the season, which speaks for itself. The Braves lineup is absolutely decimated at this point with all their injuries. They haven't scored more than 4 runs since Austin Riley went down. That was a week ago. Both of the first two games in this series have gone under by a mile. I expect this one to as well. Give me the Braves and Nationals under 8.5 runs. First play for the day. And then moving on to the A's and the Brewers out in Oakland. This is just a case of a team being overvalued. At home, the A's they're to be commended for accomplishing everything they have this year in the face of an owner who's honestly stated in very public mission it is to kill off fan interest in the team in his city so that he can move it to Las Vegas. Even though they haven't even secured financing yet for that gaudy European soccer stadium he wants to build to house them, it's not going to be ready for years, probably 3 or 4 years minimum, if it even happens at all. And the team's going to play their future home games in a minor league ballpark that only seats 10,000 fans, and they're actually going to drop their city name when they play for years. This team is going to be going around playing Major League Baseball and not actually representing a city. It's just pathetic what they have to endure. But despite their relative success, they are not on the level of the Brewers, who are closing in on the NL Central title and who are starting their new trade deadline acquisition, Frankie Montas, who at this point I'm convinced is a professional trade piece. Seriously, the guy's 31. He was drafted when he was 16. He's been starting since 2015, and I'm pretty sure he's been dealt at the trade line like 5 or 6 times at this point. Anyways, Montas has been solid since the trade. He's playing in front of a much better defense. That makes a difference. He's got a 2.57 ERA and a respectable 1.19 whip since joining the Brewers. Most of that, honestly, is walks. His walks are still a problem, like they've been his whole career. But he's kept opposing batters' hits down, just 17 hits in his 4 starts. That's pretty solid. The A's are starting Joey Estes, who can't buy a strikeout to save his life. He survives off of pitching to contact, and that's not a good thing with this Brewers lineup, who's averaging 4.8 runs a game, top 10 in baseball. Brewers have killed the A's at the plate the first two games of this series, and this one should be no different. Taking the Brewers on the money line at the minus 120 chalk, it's worth it. Second and final play. That's it for today. Everyone bet safe, stay safe. Follow us on X at Live One Sports. Check us out on Roku and Fire TV at the Live Ones. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.